Still morning. Good morning, Commissioners. Wanted to take this opportunity to update the board and the public on our solid waste and recyclables collection services. What we're at is a 8 years into a 10-year agreement with Waste Management, and we feel that this is the time to start the request for proposal process. The agreements. Next slide, please. Right here. Okay. So we want to do the goal and objective of this is to do a competitive procurement process via the request for proposal. It's part of our ordinance to follow this sort of a franchise agreement process. We want to maintain the quality of service that we have for our community. We want to increase efficiency, increase our recycling rates, and years ago when we put this slide, we talked about reducing cost. But at this time, I've changed that to manage cost. As just, right now, I certainly don't want to overpromise. The competitive environment is great, but what we've seen happening in our own county, if you will, recently with City of Sebastian, what we see going on across the state is prices are a lot higher. We're actually probably one of the lowest, if you will, around the whole Treasure Coast region, if not further out. So currently we have an agreement with Waste Management in the unincorporated areas of Indian River County. It's for an exclusive subscription service for garbage collection and also for exclusive commercial service for garbage collection in the unincorporated areas. I want to thank Paige with the GIS department for quickly putting this together for me late yesterday. But basically what we're talking about is all of the unincorporated areas of Indian River County, excluding all the municipalities. That is sort of our agreement with Waste Management for the solid waste franchise is what the area that's highlighted in sort of the yellow greenish color there. We have once a week garbage service. We have once a week yard waste pickup service, and an on-call bulks pickup service. So if somebody has a refrigerator or a couch or something that won't fit in their cart, they can call Waste Management. They have up to 4 days to go and pick that item up. What we're seeing right now is we have over 70% participation right now for subscription service. So there's in terms of our unincorporated areas, over 70% of the folks are already signed up for Waste Management service right now. So in that map there, it excluded the municipalities, and I want to touch on municipalities. City of Fellsmere is currently using the piggyback clause, and they're talking about maybe considering to use that clause again in the future, depending on what the county commission decides. And again, today's not the decision. Today's not the decision in terms of what are we going to do in 2025. The agreement we have now with Waste Management expires September 30, 2025. So we're sort of at the perfect stage to do this process and obtain more information for you to evaluate at a future board meeting. So City of Fellsmere is kind of on hold, deciding what this commission will decide in the future to do. City of Sebastian just entered into a new franchise with Waste Management, and as you know, the City of Vero Beach provides their own solid waste collection service. Town of Indian River Shores, and Town of Orchid, they both expressed interest in actively participating in our RFP. Now, we have met with them, we've talked to them, if you will. We've involved our purchasing department, our county attorney's office, and our services and their services that they have in their individual towns are distinct and a little different. And so one of the staff's thought was that we would still include this piggyback clause, which basically says municipalities that are located within our recycling franchise area, which all of them are. We provide recycling services to all of them in one shape or form, and that they could select the same vendor that our board selects and enter into their own agreement for the same terms and conditions of the agreement that our board selects. And again, Fellsmere has been doing that for the last 8 years, and they are also good through September of 2025. However, in talking to Town of Indian River Shores, they have actually tried to align, if you will, their services more to what Indian River County is doing. And so, for example, they used to have backdoor service. The driver would get out of the truck, go up to the house and bring the cart down, empty it, and then return the cart. That sort of backdoor service for every one of their residents in the Town of Indian River Shores. They had, they currently still do twice a week garbage collection. And what they recently have done is they've gone to curbside collection. So now they have carted curbside collection in the Town of Indian River Shores. And one of the indications that we've gotten is that they're also looking at going to once a week garbage collection. And so they're aligning themselves more up with what Indian River County is doing right now, once a week curbside collection. The only major difference right now is we have subscription service, they have universal service, meaning all of their residents are on the collection, if you will. We're happy to further discuss this, but wanted to just kind of let you know that that's where staff is, that we're looking to include this piggyback clause and allow them an opportunity to participate if our services sort of match what they're looking for. Again, the franchise area recycling, once a week recycling throughout Indian River County is what we have right now, single stream recycling in the blue carts. The Town of Indian River Shores, right now they're using Republic Services. The rest of the county utilizes waste management. One of the things that Mr. Kordiak mentioned was about continued issues with misuse of recycling carts for garbage service. So staff is here, Sue and Jill, they perform audits throughout the year, throughout the county, different pockets of areas. And what they found is that there are certain folks that are using these recycling carts for their garbage collection. And this is an example, if you will, of what kind of abuse that staff is finding. The carts are great in terms of, you could put something in there that unfortunately the trucks and the drivers don't have x-ray vision, right? So they're not able to see what's inside the cart. So when the automated truck comes in, they're able to grab the cart and empty it. By then it's too late and they're coming once a week to pick it up right in front of their house. So although we have the 5 convenience centers available to them or subscription service, some residents are not choosing to do either of those options. They're taking this third option of using their recycling cart for garbage service. And we've done a lot of campaigns. Staff is again doing audits. They're going down different zones, different areas of the county, basically tagging carts and up to a certain point where we work with code enforcement where we actually pulled our recycling cart because we know they're abusing the system there. As I get into the presentation, I want to plant the seed as to one of the reasons why, just like we did back in 2014, 2015, we're looking at in this RFP to also look at what we call universal garbage collection, is to providing a garbage cart for all the residents in unincorporated Indian River County. The RFP in terms of, today is sort of just lay out the foundation. What are some of the highlights of this RFP process? What are we going to be asking potential vendors to bid on? Again, we're looking at exclusive residential and commercial franchise areas for unincorporated Indian River County, single stream recycling for all of Indian River County, and also we're going to include the government recycling. Right now, they're 2 separate agreements. We're going to combine that and ask the vendors competitively right now to get pricing for providing recycling at our government facilities. Single stream recycling, again, residents have a 64-gallon cart now as the standard option. They could go for a bigger recycling cart or a smaller recycling cart based on their needs. For garbage, currently we have carted once a week service. For this, the franchisee provides a 96-gallon cart, and they have the option of going to 2 smaller sizes. That's the standard. That's the current service now. In the RFP, we're also going to ask for the option of getting subscription pricing or what we call universal pricing. With universal pricing, what we've saw in the past and what occurs in the industry is the hauler is no longer responsible for individually billing the customer for collection, for maybe possible bad debt. They're not having to mail out all the bills on a quarterly basis and do that. As a result of them not doing that, they're able to offer a lower price for that same service. And in addition, they have more customers as well. So they're able to offer a lower price for more customers. So economies of scale there, if you will. Yard waste. Our standard is manual. Residents can use their own type of cart. They can put a bundle out in front of their house as long as it kind of meets our guidelines. That's the current service now. One of the options we're looking at is a carted once a week yard waste collection program and a sort of a bulk pickup via a claw truck. Staff went up to Brevard County. They have this carted yard waste program. I'll show you some pictures in a second. And they were very impressed with how that's working up there. And one of the things we realized that unfortunately we are in the hurricane season. We don't want any hurricanes, but when things like that occur, one of the challenges in the past is how can we go and provide some rapid collection of some of the yard waste items, or on the other side is maybe collect their garbage in multiple carts, and not everybody had a garbage cart at the time. So by having an additional cart as well, it facilitates the possibility of even some assistance during a storm. The other future is Atlas Organics has a great compost product. They're interested in doing food waste composting. A carted yard waste collection program would offer a future opportunity, if you will, to educate residents about proper food waste composting. They could place that in the cart, and that would be composted and create a better compost product as well. With yard waste, again, it would be the options there would be subscription, which is what we currently have, or doing the universal, where if we went to a carted collection process or not, we could put that on the universal service through the assessment bill. Bulk pickup right now is sort of on the on-call basis, and we're looking at potentially keeping it that way, or possibly creating sort of a set routes Monday through Friday, if you will, for having fixed bulk routes throughout the county. So the consultant and staff are still evaluating that option to see if that's sort of what is the best for our residents, what is the best situation in the industry. I can tell you it's available in our agreement now, and a lot of HOAs have taken advantage of it. They basically designate one day a month, for example, for their residents to put out bulk products. So everybody sets everything out the third Saturday of the month. Waste Management currently goes through that whole community, picks up everybody that has bulk set out for that day. It winds up being a very clean process, if you will. Everybody knows what their pickup day is, and so you don't have this, one person putting it out, waiting 4 days, and then on the third day, another neighbor putting something else out. And so then throughout the whole month, you have sporadic bulk pickup. So that is something we're still evaluating to see what are we going to ask our vendors on the best way to handle bulk pickup. The current term was 7 years was the initial term, and then we had the sole option for a 3-year renewal. As some of you may recall, when the time came for renewal, Waste Management and others actually did not want to renew. That's public information, because we had some of the lowest pricing around. But because we had the sole option for renewal, our board, for our residents, exercised our right to the 3-year renewal, and we were able to maintain the lowest prices, if you will, the $10.75, even with the approval today going up to a little over $11. That's the lowest monthly rate you're going to find anywhere around, and we've been able to maintain that for another 2 more years for our residents. Going forward, what we're proposing is they felt like the industry is kind of saying, well, that's a little unfair. The 7 and 3, you're kind of locking us into a 10-year thing. So this is something that the consultant and I we have this as a proposal. We're open to discussions here as well. Is doing an initial 5 years, with sort of the county now backing away instead of making it a full 10-year as a sole option for us, doing the next 3 years, if you will, as a sole option for the county. If we're happy with the vendor that's providing service for the first 5 years, we could continue on for the next 3. And then the last 2 years would be a mutual decision by both the vendor and ourselves. So if they're feeling like they're in a bad contract, they could basically provide service for the first 8 years and then opt out of the last 2. All of these sort of things will have trigger points, if you will. There'll be a notification either by us or by the vendor, if you will, in terms of renewal or not renewal. So we'll make sure we'll have ample time. If there is something that's ending, year 5, we'll know advance enough to be able to start this RFP process to make sure that we have a smooth transition for our residents. Moving on to carted yard waste, I just want to show you some pictures. These were pictures taken by staff. They went out to a community where residents, as you can see, either have one or multiple carts for yard waste. The automated truck is able to come by and pick everything up. The loose leaves and things like that are also able to be sort of kept in the cart as well. Again, from the increase in efficiency or safety standpoint, what we feel in the industry is, having folks hang on the back of a truck driving down the road, tends to be more of a safety hazard. And so having an automated service where the residents put everything in their carts. And again, when you think about yard waste, palm fronds, here's great examples that it's okay for them to stick up above the cart. The automated cart will be able to pick that up and empty that cart as well. So wanted to just kind of plant that seed with you as to what we're looking at. Overall, in this RFP, we're looking at 4 options. The top option is our current system right now. We have we have a subscription service right now. It's a once a week carted garbage collection, once a week single stream recycling service, and a once a week yard waste service in customer provided containers. Option 2 is sort of the universal option where we put it on the assessment for all unincorporated Indian River County residents. The only difference here is that yard waste would still remain in customer provided containers. Option 3 is where we still keep everything subscription, but we make the switch to everything being carted. So you have garbage in the cart, recycling in the cart, and the yard waste in the cart. Option 4 is doing universal with all 3 carts, if you will, as the available option. What this will do, commissioners, is give staff, give commissioners options to consider down the road in terms of what are the pricing that we're getting back, and making this a competitive process. So you'll be able to see what are the cost impact to us for recycling, what is the cost impact to our residents for garbage collection. And in all these cases for the carts, it is the franchisee that's going to purchase the carts. So the price will include them purchasing the carts, delivering the carts, and we'll have sort of this matrix, if you will, of pricing that we as staff and our consultant will evaluate. We'll come back to you at a future meeting. There'll be public hearing process, if you will, at those meetings, and we'll discuss that. We'll get board input. We'll get the public input, and we'll make some decisions down the road as to what we want to do for the future of Indian River County. In terms of how it will work in the RFP process, there will be a selection committee that the county administrator will select. Typically, it's been myself, the utilities director, the budget director. We'll see who the county administrator would like on the committee this time. These are the different criteria, same criteria and the same points that we had last time in our RFP, so nothing has changed here. We basically asked for their qualifications, references, their technical proposal on how they're going to provide service to our community. Always wanting to see how they're going to help, sort of, if we stay subscription, for example, how they're going to help, increase participation in garbage service, and at the same time also increase recycling participation as well and reduce recycling contamination. And then overall, you'll have, as I mentioned, through that matrix, you'll have a financial proposal for both staff and the board to take a look at in terms of what is the price impact to our community. The timeline. So currently, we're here at July 2023, but going back, we started this fiscal year in November. We have Kessler Consulting that we authorized back in November to start the process. They've done a lot of work behind the scenes, working with staff. Staff's been providing them a lot of information about all the current things that are going on right now, and that's why we were able to come together on a sort of a draft outline, if you will, as to what are the key highlights of this new RFP, and that's where we are here today in July 2023. We're anticipating that based on input today, any other changes that we need to do, we're going to try to. The goal is to release this by October of this year, and we also typically in our RFP include a sample agreement, so there is no surprises as to what the agreement will actually look like, all the legalese, if you will. So that's what the time frame between now and October is. We're going to make sure we have a good, not only a base RFP procurement document, but also a good sample agreement that we'll put out on the street in October. With the holidays and everything coming in, we're looking at receiving responses in early January of 2024 or middle of 2024. We feel by the time we evaluate it, we'll come back to the commission of March 2024 with some recommendations. And then right now we have contract award in July 2024. We're thinking that it may not take that long by including a sample agreement. Once the board makes a decision as who the vendor is for the award, we'll be able to negotiate with them, finalize the agreement, and hopefully before July 2024, bring back an agreement for the board to approve and sign with the contract starting in October of 2025. So the way this is laid out, if you looked at starting in August, we're looking at about 14 months is the window that we're looking to provide the vendors. We think we may be able to do better than that, maybe 15 or 16 months of allowance. So commissioners will have made a decision. Our vendor will know, who's getting the work, and depending on what decisions are made, they'll have opportunities to either purchase more carts, purchase more vehicles, and be ready, if you will, before October 1, 2025. I think one last slide I think I have here. Just a reminder about cone of silence. This is something that's always in our procurement documents as well. And in order to make this an open, fair, and transparent process, basically SWID staff, SWID board, we're subject to cone of silence. Once the RFP is issued, that's what typically is done, meaning potential vendors have to go through our purchasing department if they have any questions. One of the things that recently as staff we've kind of discussed internally is wanted to ask the board today, do you want to enact the cone of silence now instead of waiting until the RFP goes out in October? And so that's something for maybe discussion and some input from you. And with that, I open it up to any questions that you may have of me or staff.